Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. First, I just want to say that I have missed you all so much. I've had some family things going on. I know you guys understand, but I just wanted to say that I've missed you. I love you. Everybody who's reached out to me, I love you so much. And even the ones who haven't, I love you too. I've missed you. And what a better way to come back than with the fucking story time, bitch. Before I do hop in, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to subscribe, join part of the family, turn your notification bell on to become a part of the Morgan Shay Notify gang. And yeah, let's quit the blabbing. Let's get into the story time. Talk about a really scary time in my life, if I'm being real. And this is all going to kind of lead up to, if you've been watching my lives, there's been a lot of paranormal shit going on in my house, which I'm having someone come out and it's going to be a whole thing. So do please just stay tuned for that. But it's going to lead into that. And in order for me to get into that, I really want to dive into a part that I've spoke about before. I've spoke about my stalker on my channel before, but I haven't told you guys about the time that he was living in my home without me knowing. And this was a terrifying time in my life. And this is also at the peak of his existence in my life. And it kind of like with everything, whether it's dieting or whatever, you reach a peak and then it kind of mellows out. And I thought that he was gone. I thought that he had moved on. He had met someone. He was in jail for something. And I was young. And though my grandmother and people were like, you need to be staying on top of this and you need to, you know, be in touch with, you know, the private investigators and the police. You need to be sure that he is where he's at, because it would give them a sense of relief knowing where he was. But I was young. I was in my early 20s and I was doing what every early 20-something-year-old is doing. Little did I know, in those moments where I had my guard down and thought that he was off living his own life, he was living in my fucking house. So let this just be here in the beginning. If you are triggered by talking of stalkers or being watched, peeping toms, if you will, this video is not for you. Please click off now. I love you guys. And honestly, I didn't know if I was ever going to tell this story because it takes me to a place, but I want to open up to you guys, and I want you guys to know everything about my life. So yeah, here is the story of the time that my stalker was living in my house. So if you guys remember the story time that I told you guys about the neighbor that me and one of my friends had, who literally was standing in our like hallway bed. It was our bedroom door, but it led into a hallway to a bathroom. She stood there in the middle of the night and watched us sleep. If you haven't watched that, I'll link it up in the cards. It's this house. Before that happened, in that video, I told you guys that there were things going on with my stalker that was going to be a whole separate story time. And that was a big reason why we were moving. And then after we woke up to her literally standing there, like watching us sleep, we were like, bye. So this is probably 2 weeks before our neighbor, I believe I named her Squirrel. Actually, I know I did, because she had a pet squirrel. I don't think I ever mentioned that, but she had a pet squirrel. Squirrel was watching us sleep. Now looking back, you know, hindsight is a really funny thing. It's always 2020. Looking back, it makes sense, okay? But at the time, and I think he took advantage of this, because my friends would post on social media about Squirrel and all the things she was doing, and they, you know, they thought it was a joke. You know, we didn't know where she could take it, and things did get serious later on. But in the beginning, it all was very hee ha ha to myself, my roommate, and our friends. So I know for a fact that Waldo, which is what we call my stalker, definitely saw this on social media. Waldo had been blocked off of everything. At this point, we were knee deep in my stalker situation. This had been going on for years, and he had just been very... Okay, guys, last night I did a live. I'm going to link it up in the cards right now. There are pieces that are missing out of this story, and it's important that you watch that live in order to get all the details. Again, I'm going to have it linked up in the cards right now. Like, in my life, he followed me and my roommate on vacation. Like, he had been prime time in our minds, okay? And things had started to cool off. And I was really letting my guard down, like I said, just enjoying life. And I'm going to tell you guys a few instances leading up to us finding out, well, my roommate finding out that my stalker was living in our attic. So for those of you guys who don't know, this was a very old home. Had an attic, but it was more of like, I'll put a picture on the screen now of what it kind of resembled. It had like vents that you could see from the front of the house. And in there was like the tiniest bit of attic that we never used. We never opened it. Ugh, this creeps me out. But there was access to this attic through that vent. If you were to take that vent off, you could crawl right in. And there was like a roof, like part that went over our porch that was in front of this vent. And if you were 6 foot, you could definitely crawl up on that roof and get in that vent. Spoiler alert, that's how Waldo got into our space, our attic. So about 4 weeks, a month before we found out that Waldo was living in the attic, we were all sitting in the living room, and this was during bachelor season, and me and all my girlfriends would get together every single week and watch The Bachelor. We were sitting in the living room, and there was one night, and I believe I tell this in the story from my neighbor from hell story, where she was banging on our windows. Well, about 2 hours after the police came and all of that was over, we started to hear what sound like, the only way I know to describe it is like somebody like taking their fist and just going, but above our heads, like on the roof. Now, side note, in our yard, there was a tree, and I'm not sure what these things, I'm thinking were like walnuts or something, but the trees had some type of nut that come out of them. So when I hear this sound the first time, I'm like, it's just that tree. However, my roommate, we'll call her Stacy. I can't remember what I called her in the last story. I've had her in several story times, so we'll just call her Stacy. Stacy was more freaked out than me. She was like, no, Morgan, that is too big of a sound to be those little walnuts. I'm like, oh, whatever. You know, the police were just here. There's, it's nothing. So we go to sleep. At this point, we were already sleeping in the same bed, okay? As you guys know, in that last video, we started to get so freaked out, we started to sleep together, and that's when that one night, it was so terrifying. We felt someone watching us, and it was our neighbor squirrel standing in our hallway doorway to our bedroom watching us fucking sleep. I shit you not. Anyways, we were already sleeping together. So I was dead asleep, gone to the world. Stacy rises up out of the bed, sets up, and screams bloody murder. Now, I did not hear any of this, but she woke up and she said, Morgan, I just heard that again. It literally, let me actually do it. It sounds more like that, but in the roof, on the roof, okay? The first time that the noise happened, I did not hear it, but shortly after she woke up screaming, we heard it again. I was like, there's just no way. So I go outside, look at our roof, and there's nothing. So I tell her, I'm like, Stacy, it's those walnuts. There's nobody, nothing outside. We go back to bed. Fast forward literally a week to the day. We're watching The Bachelor again. All of the friends, everything over, and Squirrel was still gone. Pizza guy comes, delivers the pizza, and he's like, hey, your all's vent in front of your attic is like laying in the yard. I'm like, that's weird, you know? And to be honest, we didn't think anything about that, nothing at all. We had our neighbor across the street that I talked about in that same video. Again, it's linked up in the cards. Her husband come over and put it up there. Now, after all of this came to fruition, I asked my neighbor's husband, I said, did you not see anything in there when you put that vent up? And he was like, Morgan, I'm going to be real with you. I wasn't even paying attention. I just screwed the thing back in. However he did it, I'm not sure. He said, I just put it back on. I honestly, Morgan, I swear to God, I would have left, which I know he would have. Because thank God for him, which shout out, he said I could share his real name. Shout out to Benjamin. Benjamin, thank you so much. Like, if you would have not been there this night for my roommate at the time, like, anyways, you all know Benjamin and Shelby, you guys are amazing. Those were my neighbors that lived across from us at the time. They'll probably be in the comments. Anyways, so that incident happens. Fast forward about 3 or 4 more days, I'm home by myself. Now, this gives me fucking whole body chills now because I know that it was him. I know that it was Waldo. In this house, like I said, it was a very, very, very old home. And the owner had done some renovations, but not all renovations. And the bathroom was one of the things that was like original things. Like they had redone tile and the floor and windows. But everything else in that bathroom was original. The sink, the toilet was super old. Like it had like a weird flusher tub. The tub was one of my favorite pieces in the house. But it was like a claw bathtub, but they had put a shower up. I was in the shower. Again, I was home alone. And I hear that same above me. And I'm like, oh, fuck this. Oh, fuck this. So I'm in the shower, and I remember opening the shower curtain. And I don't know about any of you guys, but one of my biggest fears of life is someone stabbing me through the shower curtain. I open the shower curtain and look. Nothing's there. My bathroom door was shut. When I opened the curtain and looked, the bathroom door was shut. I keep on doing my thing, and I'm rinsing conditioner out of my hair, and my ears are under the water. But that saying bang, bang, bang happens again, but it's like muffled. You know what I'm saying? Because I have my ears under the water, like rinsing my hair out. I'll never forget this. Like it's something that... And out of the corner of my eye, you know, like when somebody walks in your bathroom, when you have the shower curtain pulled, it kind of looks like just a gray shadow. Very quickly, that kind of darted by my shower curtain. Now, guys, you all have to understand how small this fucking bathroom was. This bathroom was super small, and it was the only bathroom that was in this house, and it was so tiny. It was super duper tiny. I don't know what the measurements were, but it was very, 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 very small. When I see that kind of reflection go by the shower, I'm so scared that I'm too scared to look outside the shower curtain. But I started to have these really scary, scary thoughts. And then I thought, it's probably just my roommate. It's probably just Stacy. So I opened the curtain and I see the doors open in the bathroom. And it kind of took my breath away at first, but then I thought, it's Stacy. So I was like, Stacy, like hollering for her like that. Nothing. And I'm like, Stacy. And I wash my body really quickly, get out of the tub. I walk through the entire house in my towel, and there's no one. There's no one home. So I call Stacy. She's like, girl, I'm on my way home from work. And I tell her what happened. She's freaked out. I call my neighbors across the street because they had a key to our house. So I thought, well, maybe it was them. They weren't even home. So I'm like, was it Squirrel? It wasn't Squirrel. Squirrel wasn't home. So I'm like thinking now it's paranormal. So this is where I start to get lines crossed, and I start thinking it's paranormal instead of there's someone living in my home that I don't know about. Fast forward to the night everything happened. Okay, so these are the incidents leading up to, and just remember from the shower incident all the way till the night that it happened, it's important to know that I had in my mind that everything that had been going on, that bang, bang, bang noise, everything was paranormal. I was telling Stacy this, and Stacy knew very well of the paranormal activity that I had at my first townhouse. So she was like, you're right. That is what it is. That has to be what it is. It's followed us. Now I'm going to read from what Stacy sent me and the night and what she experienced. I do have full permission to tell this story. It does involve me later on in the story, but I wanted to get the experience that Stacy had before I got home. Only reason I'm not telling Stacy's name is just for her privacy. She may very well be in the comments and share her name, and that will be completely up to her. But Stacy, if you watch this, I love you, and I'm just so glad that we made it through that horrible house together. All right, guys, so Stacy says that she got home at around 6:45 p.m. that night. Said that when she got home that everything was completely normal and that she had gotten off work early, and she did. She would typically work until 8 p.m. When she got home, she heard that bang, 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 but it was very continuous and it almost sounded like it was inside of the house, and then it moved up into the roof. She said it kind of freaked her out, but again, she had in her mind like paranormal things. Stacy said that she went into the living room, she started watching TV, whatever, and she started to hear like an old man laughing. And this is something that gives me chills because this is something that Waldo was known for, calling me, and it freaks me out to even like mimic it, but it would be like, like, oh, I hate it. When she said that, it brought back so much, but she started to hear that. And all of a sudden, now our attic had access from inside the house, obviously. It was in our kitchen, and you pulled down from the ceiling and stairs would come down. She said all of a sudden she was sitting in the living room watching TV. She hears that laughter and she's kind of stunned, frozen for a moment. She said like seconds later, those stairs just flop down and like bang onto the floor. And she said what happened next, she couldn't have prepared herself for. That is when Waldo walked down the stairs into the kitchen and came into our living room, sat down in the living room with her, and explained who he was. Now, this was very much Waldo. Waldo thought what he was doing was completely harmless and normal. He then would go on to explain to her. Now, keep in mind, guys, I was probably about this time getting off work. Okay, she got home at 6:45. I got off at about 7:30 at this point. So I'm probably on my way home. And I get a text from her that says 911. When I got this text message, I immediately called the police and had them go to my house. Every one of my friends, everyone in my family, anyone who knew me, I always said, if you see Waldo and it's a dangerous situation, if you even see him, text me 911. I'll know exactly what to say. So that's exactly what I did. I called the police. Now, the police got there before I even got there. We pulled in together. She said all he did was just sit there and talk about how he was in love with me and I was in love with him. And he was just trying to, you know, express to me that he wanted to live with me and he was afraid of what I might think. If, you know, and this is just how his mind worked. He thought this was very normal and that I wanted to be, and I was in a relationship with him. And he was very much in denial of this relationship, if you could even call it that. I made it very clear to Waldo on many occasions that his presence was unwanted and it scared me, and he did not listen. So I arrive to my house and the police has got Waldo in handcuffs out, and they're literally putting him in a police car when I get there. If you can only imagine, you know, Stacy is on the porch in our chairs we had on the porch in tears. Thank God my neighbor, Benjamin, across the street, he came over to borrow sugar. He came over to borrow sugar. And Waldo, like I said, he didn't think he was doing anything wrong. So he didn't tell Stacy, like, don't answer the door. Like, he thought this was all normal. And like I said, everyone in my life knew who Waldo was. Waldo made many appearances. He was not scared. And there's also another story time that's coming from this house with Waldo that dates back probably 3-4 months before this happened, when I told you that Waldo was very prevalent in my life. It dates back to about then, and he literally walked up to Benjamin's house and said that he was my boyfriend and all this and that, and that's how they knew who, you know, Waldo was. So Benjamin walks over, he stays, and I always told him, you know, he's going to act like he's in my life and I want him there. And Stacy said that it was very much that type of situation. It was very much, you know, she wants me here, we're together, da-da-da-da-da. Please have him in handcuffs. Like I said, when I get there, they're just confirming all this information. And the creepy part is when they go up into the attic and they bring down all of the things that Waldo had up there. Like, bitch, that's the really creepy part, is when you see how the person's been living in your space without you knowing. Anyways, guys, this leads into another story time and a story time. I mean, there's so many different things that happened around this, but this is a very good example of, if you are, you know, hearing shit in your house, or you're feeling uncomfortable, or you have a gut feeling that something's happening, like, bitch, go with your gut always. Always go with your gut and go with what you think you should do, because you're probably right. Hope you all did enjoy today's story time. Do keep in mind that there are bits and pieces that's been taken out for story times that are going to go around this story time. But be sure that you do like this video if you like a Morgan Shay story time. And also, let me know in the comments below how you like the Get Ready With Me story time that I did last time, because I'm thinking I might do that again if that's something that you guys like. I love you all so stinking much. Missed you all a ton. Be sure that you do like this video, like I said, and subscribe before you leave. Also, down in the description box is links to all of my social media if you would like to follow me on a more personal level. Also, linked down below is the link to my Rise website, where we have 0.925 sterling silver jewelry. Here are some of our earrings. We also have pearls. Here's a couple of my trades for pearls. And we also have, look at this beautiful necklace. This is a galaxy purple stone. So beautiful. It's all surprise jewelry, guys, but it's 0.925 sterling silver jewelry. If you'd like to place an order, that link is always down below. I love you guys so stinking much. And until the very next time. Bye, y'all.